Howdy folks, I'm Stellar Sagittarius, skillfully shooting at soaring skeets.
I'm Amber.
And here's more skeets for us to shoot down. All those clay discs are going to rain clay powder, because we're skilled archers. Let's get started. Alright folks, and our first letter is titled, I'm a 64-year-old male, and I just found out that my son, a 26-year-old male, has been lying to me for years. What do I say to him? This story starts around 22 years ago, soon after my, a 64-year-old male, son Jack, now a 26-year-old male, was born. We got him a blanket. Not a baby blanket, more like a toddler blanket, I guess. Jack loved his blanket, and he slept with it until he was around 14, which in my opinion was an unhealthy attachment. By age 14, he had physically outgrown it, so he bundled up with it and kept it in our closet. Now later that year, I had my family do an annual Goodwill haul, basically going through the house and taking a bunch of stuff that we no longer needed and donating it. I had brought the blanket up to Jack, and I told him that it was time that we donate it since nobody uses it anymore, and he was extremely opposed to it. He said that he was planning on giving the blanket to his son someday. I laughed it off because, come on, he was 14. In every subsequent haul, I raised the matter of the blanket because I didn't want my son being a grown man attached to a baby blanket. 4 or 5 years later, Jack finally snapped and said, fine, give me the blanket and I'll donate the stupid thing. I overlooked his tone because I was just elated that he was finally willing to part with the thing, honestly. He took his haul to Goodwill and we never saw the blanket again. Until last week. Jack is married now, and he just closed on a new condo, which me and my wife popped in to see. With him there, of course. And lo and behold, what do we see rolled up on his bed but the same blanket? At first, I was just too surprised to even react, and just asked Jack what was that. He laughed it off, and he said that when I told him that I had donated it, he actually gave it to his girlfriend at the time and asked her to hold on to it until they moved in together, which she said that she would do and has had it ever since. I'll admit I saw red. I raised our kids not to lie and listen when I told them to do things. I couldn't believe that he had spent so long lying straight to my face. Heck, a few times over the years, I even brought it up. Kind of in a, can you believe you were so attached to that thing type of way? And he always laughed it off. Now, I find out that he's just been dishonest and he's still glued to the stupid thing. Our tour of his condo ended shortly afterwards, and my wife asked me why I had been so angry, and I explained the situation. She says that kids lie, and that I shouldn't be surprised. And yeah, even if he's got a soft spot for a blanket, that's not a big deal. She says that he's an adult now, and that I should just let it go. But this started when he was an adult, and I really dislike knowing that my son had been lying to me through his teeth to me for almost a decade. So, should I talk with him? What should I say? Now that I know that he's been lying to me, I'm not sure if I can just let it go. Any advice would be appreciated, but specifically, what should I say to him? Thank you. Alright folks, what do you think?
I think you should say it to your son. Son, I am so sorry for being so controlling over this blanket that you felt the need to lie to me for a decade and felt the need to give it away, even though you still gave it away. Like, he gave it to his girlfriend, it just wasn't Goodwill. But like, OP, I think you need therapy. I really do not like this idea that boys are not allowed to have sentimental items. And like, if it was a baseball glove, like his first catcher's mitt or something, would you feel differently? Like, is it specifically because of the blanket and that's not manly? Or are men not allowed to have any sentimental items whatsoever?
I wish I knew that his motivations here. And I think that it's very short-sighted for him to be angry and upset about this. And it also shows that probably this isn't the first time that OP has been demanding like this and domineering. And Jack probably just decided that it was easier to appease him and then eventually move out than to allow him to just lord over him until bother him until he got his way, right? And I think that OP is overly concerned about the blanket. If there's anyone who's obsessed with the blanket, it isn't his son, it's OP, right? Like, bringing this up well after the fact, making fun of him and mocking him about the blanket and being like, haha, I can't believe you were attached to that stupid thing, right?
Right, and at this point in time, if anything, he should have just, like, laughed it off that he still has the blanket. Like, oh, haha, I didn't even realize you still had it. But no, he has to make this big deal because you've been lying to me for the better part of a decade and not listening to my authority. I mean, it sounds like this happened even when his son was, as he said, 4 or 5 years after he was 14. So he was 18 or 19 years old. He was already a legal adult.
Mm-hmm.
And OP is like, why wasn't he just bowing down to my authority? Again, OP, I think you have control issues.
Yeah, I think that OP should seek out therapy. I think that they should talk about why they feel that they need to exert control over people like this, especially their kids. And again, like Amber said, like maybe him not giving the blanket away was happening while he was a kid, but it sounds like he gave away the blanket when he was an adult. Gave away the blanket, right? So I think that OP is just being absurd here, to be quite frank. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Helen Destroy says, you need therapy to be honest. And again, the Bottle of Pee says, my goodness, desperately. He's mad about the lack of control that he has around his son and his childhood blanket. I can't believe what I've just read. Feels like the ramblings of an abusive control freak. I mean, he may not be, but for goodness sake, this is odd behavior. It sure is odd behavior.
Mm-hmm.
And JJ Gill 27 says, it was a blanket, you kept trying to get rid of it. It's a stupid blanket to you, but he was attached to it, so he kept it and knew you wouldn't drop it. And you still haven't. And Peach Banana 8 says, is this for real? You have some very serious emotional problems if it is. You were way out of line here in the first place, trying to force your son to get rid of a cherished childhood keepsake just because it made you uncomfortable for some reason. You don't deserve his honesty after the way you treated him. You should get into therapy and work on letting things go if you want to have a relationship with your son.
Well, I'm looking forward to if OP's son and his wife choose to have children, all the baby photos with the baby blanket.
Yeah.
What's OP gonna do then?
Probably just rage some more.
Yeah, I can't believe he still has that blanket.
Alright folks, and our next letter is titled, some family members showed up at my house for the eclipse, and they are angry because I was at work and they were stuck outside. I live in a place that was in the path of totality for the eclipse. I have no plans to watch the eclipse because I had to work on Monday. What I didn't know was that several of my family members decided to come to my house to watch the eclipse. They live elsewhere in the province, and none of them had totality where they had lived. My mom and her husband, my older brother and his fiancée, my younger brother, my sister-in-law, my nephew, my cousin, his fiancée, and their son and uncle all came over to my house only to find that I wasn't home. None of them asked me or told me in advance. They drove for hours to my house without even telling me. They are angry that I didn't answer their messages or calls even though they know that I don't look at my phone when I'm at work. I had 2 surgeries on Monday, and I would think that it would have been obvious that I can't be using my phone during that time. My family knows this, but they are still upset. All of them are also expecting to stay at my house overnight. My house only has 2 bedrooms and 6 rooms in total. I don't have the room to host 11 people overnight. Even if I did, I usually go to bed shortly after I get home when I'm working because I have to be up so early and there's no way it would be quiet enough, especially with a baby and 4-year-old running around. I didn't have enough food for everyone because I did my grocery shopping the last time that I had a day off. Even though my family knows that I don't use my phone when I'm working and no one asked me if they could come over to watch the eclipse or stay overnight, they are still angry with me for being rude or ignoring their calls and messages. I think part of it is that the skies were cloudy where I live and the sun and the eclipse were not visible at all. They all drove here from different parts of the province and didn't get to see anything. But I can't believe they showed up uninvited and then they're angry at me for not being home and for not letting me stay the night. I hate being treated like I'm the one who's wrong here. Alright folks, what do you think?
I feel bad for OP in this situation. OP has done nothing wrong. These people just showed up unannounced, knowing that OP works and just assumed they'd have a place to stay. It makes no sense. If you want to stay at someone's house, you need to communicate that with them in advance. You can't just show up on their doorstep. And if you show up on their doorstep and they're not there, it's your fault.
Yeah.
You did not make the proper plans.
Yeah, well, I think that's really what this boils down to. Poor planning on their part does not constitute an emergency on OP's part. They decided to go ahead and go forward with a risky plan, basically no plan, right? And then show up at his house and then act surprise Pikachu when he wasn't there.
Well, and to top it off, the audacity of expecting OP to have a cell phone while they are doing surgery. Oh, yeah, sorry, Miss So-and-so. I've got to start up your heart transplant. I got to take this call from my parents. It's pretty important. They might want to watch the eclipse at my house.
Yeah. And then on top of that, like even if OP had been home, I really wouldn't still have expected OP to host them
Oh,
or let them
yeah.
stay overnight or anything like that. Like it takes time to plan and prepare for guests.
Mm-hmm.
And the fact of the matter is that they didn't give OP the courtesy or the time to do that.
And my guess is they didn't because they know that OP would say no, and so they wanted to like try and force OP's hand, and then OP happened to not be there, so inconvenient to their plans.
Mm-hmm. Well, let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Coco Almonds Rock says, wow, you have a seriously entitled family. You are definitely not in the wrong here. And Shurina says, how are these people real? Like, honestly, who does this? They drove for hours, and at no point did anyone stop and think, huh, maybe we should ask OP if we can even do this. They just show up at OP's house and expect them to drop everything and allow multiple people to spend the night without so much as a prior discussion. My family is dysfunctional, and even they wouldn't pull this. Alright, folks, and our next letter is titled, Am I the jerk for telling my father? I do know about that. I am a 28-year-old female and I am a wildlife biologist. I have a master's degree in wildlife conservation and I'm hoping to go for my doctorate soon. I have worked in this field since I was 16 and I'm very passionate about it. When visiting my family recently for Easter, my mom asked me to tell the family a little bit about my work. I was very excited to talk about my current research. Here is where the issue comes along. My father is a 60-year-old male and he would respond to almost everything that I said with, I don't know about that. At first, I tried to ignore it, but it just didn't stop. Eventually, I responded with, well, I do, given the 2 degrees that I have and all. I responded in a light, playful tone, but he did not take it well at all. He immediately accused me of being disrespectful. I responded with, I'm sorry, but it's disrespectful for you to insinuate that you know more than I do about my field. Dinner got quiet after that. I finished my meal and helped with the dishes, and then I said goodbye before leaving. But on the ride home, I got a phone call from my mother asking why I felt that I needed to aggravate my father and why I had to talk back. I am a 28-year-old professional, and this feels ridiculous to me. Am I the jerk? All right, folks, what do you think?
Not the jerk. I mean, this man was being very insulting toward OP's career. And just because you're older and the parent does not mean that you know everything there is to know about the universe. Like, this is OP's area of expertise, and here is someone who is uneducated in the field saying, do you really know anything? Do your 2 degrees count for anything?
Well, and I mean, I think at the end of the day, he needs to realize that his daughter is grown up, right? And I think that this is really what it boils down to. The kind of respect that he's talking about is, I'll treat you like a person. I'll respect you like a person if you respect me like an authority, right? Mm-hmm. And that's really what this boils down to. He wants to be an authority. He wants to lord over OP, and he still views OP as a young child, and where he can have the ability to do this, whether rightly or wrongly, right? Mm-hmm. Now, parents do have a special position to offer guidance to children, right? And that's because kids aren't able to make the best decisions, right? They don't have enough life experience to make good decisions or to necessarily know what a good decision is sometimes, right? But once kids are grown up and they're adults, you really have to let go of that feeling of trying to lead and guide them all the time, because they need to be able to set out on their own path in life. And you know, of course, kids are going to come to parents and ask for advice and whatnot, but that doesn't mean that parents know everything about everything, right? Mm-hmm. And that's really what this boils down to, is he feels that threatened almost by OP's knowledge, it seems like.
Yeah, well, and the mother here too is being a jerk. Like, it's not OP's job to placate this man. Like, he is being unreasonable. He deserved to be called out, and that might make things more difficult for the mom, but like, maybe have the conversation with the person who's being a petulant child.
Yeah. Really, the conversation that she should have had would have been with him and not OP. But let me know what you folks think. So anyhow, take care and good luck. And Bout Tawin says, you're the jerk. Simply because you aren't mature enough to understand how to navigate a mature conversation with people and resort to online sympathy. He's your father. Even if he was a jerk in this one interaction, he probably has a laundry list of times that you've been a jerk to him and still loves you enough to have a relationship with you well into your adulthood. All the while not complaining to the internet and strangers about it. Stop seeking sympathy from teenagers on Reddit. Grow up and make things right with your father.
Does OP's father have a Reddit account?
OP's father! It's nice to see you in the comments. And OP replies, quick question. What do you think the subreddit is for? And Exam Academic 5557 says, not a jerk, and your dad is obviously uncomfortable with the idea of you being an authority. Does he have any post-grad education? Many older generation folks without education feel threatened by being perceived as ignorant, so they posture as compensation. And OP replies, no, he doesn't. You make a good point, and that might be part of the reason why he behaves this way. And I mean, it is important not to rub people's lack of knowledge in their face, right? And it would be different if OP was deriding him for not knowing things and being like, how can you not know X, Y, and Z, right? Mm-hmm. And that can get insufferable pretty quickly. And if he was genuinely curious and asking genuine questions about it and OP was being rude, that would be a different situation as well. But it does really come across as him being threatened by not being an authority in this position.
Well, exactly. And like, it is totally fine. You can still be a smart person and not know everything about every area. Mm-hmm. Like, Brian and I have different areas of expertise. Like, I do not know nearly what he does about computers. Does that mean that I am uneducated and all this stuff? No, it doesn't. It just means that's not my specialization. And there's nothing wrong with acknowledging that your child has a specialization that's different from yours.
Yeah. All right, folks, it is tea time. Grab your beverages of choice. I've got some tea right here in Amber. She allegedly has a jovial Bob sign joke.
Why did the surgeon examine his computer?
Oh, it's a back and forth. I can actually respond this time. Wow, I have a golden opportunity to finally say something to one of these jokes. I don't even remember what they asked me at this point in time just because I was so shocked that I was even, asked something.
Why did the surgeon examine his computer?
The surgeon examined his computer because he was like, I'm a surgeon and I clearly know how to fix all computers too because, computers, humans, same thing. So he took the hard drive out, put it in a person, and it didn't work. And the computer was broken and the person was broken. And that was a bad situation and a bad time for the surgeon.
It had slipped a disk.
See, a hard drive. I was right. And I have Earl Grey. All right, folks, that's all the time we have for today. Thank you so much for watching. Happy, fantastic Friday. Congratulations, folks. We made it to the end of the week. I hope that you have a great weekend this weekend. Amber, we need some kind of moral advice and or guidance. And please have it on respect.
Respect must be a two-way street.
Exactly. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you all tomorrow.
Bye.